Warning, the video you're about to see contains spoilers for Pokemon Legends ZA. Viewer discretion is advised. So Pokemon Legends ZA is finally out, and it's pretty good. I give it the old thumbs up. But when I play new Pokemon games, the first thing I do is try to catch every Pokemon the game has to offer, complete with gender differences and other form changes, also known as a living form dex. This has been something I've done since getting back into the series in 2015, but it wasn't until very recently that you actually get a really cool shiny reward for catching every Pokemon from a particular game. And no, I'm not talking about the shiny charm. You actually have to do way more than just catch all the Pokemon to get that in this game. 1,000 trainer battle wins? 1,000? This is a bit. I actually like that the shiny charm is back to being a bit of a challenge to obtain again. But no, I'm talking about the beautiful, shiny, mythical, or legendary you get from filling out the entire game dex in Pokemon Home. Starting with Scarlet and Violet, if you caught every Pokemon from Paldea, Kitakami, and Blueberry Academy, then sent those Pokemon into Pokemon Home, you would receive a shiny Meloetta. Then the other Switch games followed suit. For Sword and Shield, you'd receive a shiny Keldeo. For Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, you'd receive a shiny Manaphy. For Legends Arceus, you'd receive a shiny Enamorus. And for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, you'd receive a shiny Meltan that will forever be stuck as a Meltan because you can only evolve it in Pokemon Go. Wait, what? But anyway, there's no reason not to believe that they do the same thing for Legends ZA. But what shiny would they give out? Well, I personally think it's gonna be shiny Hoopa. Hoopa was already shown off in the trailer for the upcoming DLC and has been released in Go multiple times with no shiny release. I have a theory that Pokemon Go can only release shinies if they've already been released in the main series first, or they are exclusive Pokemon to Go, like Roaming Form Gimmighoul or Meltan. And it feels like they're itching to release shiny Hoopa in Go. It was available as part of a special research, it was the first ever Elite Raid, and they had a full-on raid day for it, none of which released the shiny, which is unprecedented for Pokemon Go. So I think once home compatibility comes out for Legends ZA, we will be able to get a shiny Hoopa for catching every Pokemon the game has to offer. Or maybe it's like Volcanion or Diancie and I'm just completely wrong on this one. So let's begin. There are 230 Pokemon in this game's Pokedex, and if you include alternate forms, there are 293 total Pokemon to catch. This is my first playthrough though, so I didn't actually know that at the time, so despite my counter and total being on the screen, it kind of changes throughout the video. I also started by including my party Pokemon to the total and eventually decided not to include them. The only exception was my Beedrill I used because eventually I took it off the team. One more thing to note is that I'm kind of all over the place with this video. Because this was my first time playing this game, I was still figuring a lot out, and just catching Pokemon I knew I needed and evolving them when I could. So these Pokemon will not be caught in any sort of order. With all that being said, if you enjoy these types of catching every Pokemon videos, let me know by leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel. And comment below how you're enjoying Legends ZA so far. We start off in Wild Zone 1 where you find not one, but 2 Scatterbug and a Fletchling. We then find ourselves a Bunnelby and a Weedle in a bush, followed by 2 Mareep. We then found a Pidgey on the roof, and then already discovered the struggles of Pokemon running away. I gotta get that Pichu. I need to not startle it though. I feel like that would have really hurt. Turn around. Every now and then I get a little bit... Oh, it... That wasn't a backstrike. Oh my gosh, what the heck? Why is this so hard? I'm guessing I can't swim. I can't swim, okay. We'll come back for Pichu later. While exploring on the rooftops, I found a red Flabebe, and we quickly evolved our Weedle into Kakuna. Next up is Wild Zone 2 to find a whole bunch of new Pokemon, and we start off with a Budew, followed by a female Magikarp, and a Binacle. Next up, we found a Patrat, and a male Magikarp to get the gender set for that, followed by a second Patrat to complete that line. Next, we caught another Budew because I didn't know what I was going to be able to find later on in the game, so we caught it assuming we'd evolve it into Roselia, but I do think we find more Roselias later on. Next up, I found a Kakuna in a tree, and then back in Wild Zone 1, we got a third Weedle to complete the set. I'm using a Great Ball for this one. We got it. Then back in Wild Zone 2, we found a second Binacle to complete that line. Next up was Wild Zone 3, and there's actually a lot we need here. We caught ourselves 2 female Pikachus for the line, followed by a male Pikachu for the gender set of Pikachu. Then we found a Skiddo, a Litleo, a Pancham, 2 more red Flabébés to complete that line. Then another male Pikachu for Raichu, and a male Esper. We then ended up finding a male Litleo to evolve into Pyroar, along with a female Litleo to evolve into Pyroar, as Pyroar has a gender difference and the male one is actually rare, so we got lucky with the male one early on. Next up was Wild Zone 4, and we found ourselves a Spinarak, a Ghastly, a second Ghastly, an Ekans, a second Spinarak to complete that line, and during one of the side quests that you are technically required to do as part of the main quest, we got a Sableye that we had to battle, and we ended up catching it. Next, we found a second Ekans to complete that line, and a third Ghastly to complete that line. We then caught ourselves a Spupa to complete the Scatterbug line, and we found another male Esper to evolve into Meowstic. But we didn't find a female Esper, so we'll get that one later. Then in an alleyway, I found a Trubbish, and as part of one of the quests, you find an Alpha Bunnelby. Originally, I didn't count this one as I thought I was going to count the Bunnelby on my team and then ended up not counting the ones on my team. Then on the rooftops, we found a Pidgeotto and evolved our Kakuna into Beedrill. We then evolved one of our Scatterbugs into Spupa and a Spupa into Vivian. Next up is Wild Zone 5, and here we found ourselves a Venipede, a Bellsprout, and evolved our Mareep into Flaffy. We then found an Alpha Whirlipede, which we ended up catching pretty quickly, an Abra on the rooftops, and a second Pidgeotto to complete the Pidgey line. We then found ourselves 2 Electrikes that we caught both of them actually pretty easily in order to start and complete that line. We then found a couple Beneries, which we also used to start and complete that line. In the next area, I found a couple female Houndours. We actually failed the male one, so we didn't get that one. And we found a Flaffy to complete that line. Next, we found 2 Swablues to start and complete that line. Next, in Area 7, we found a couple red Flower Floettes, which I replaced the Flabébés with because then we don't have to evolve quite as much. I then found a male Hippopotas and a Vanillite, and an Alpha Fletchinder. We then found a male Roselia and a female Hippopotas to complete that gender set. Then we evolved our male and female Pikachus into male and female Raichu. I then managed to find a Pansage, and an orange and yellow Flabébé, and a Pansear. At this point, I learned that there were actually Pokemon that are exclusive to nighttime, and I found myself a Shuppet. I then went to Wild Zone 12 and found a male Snover, another Vanillite, a Go-Goat, 2 Snowrunts, and I caught the Alpha Abomasnow, which was male. I then caught 2 Machops and a Delibird. I then evolved one of the Machops into Machoke and one of the Vanillites into Vanillish. As part of the story, you had to make your way down into the sewers, and there I found 2 Noibats, 2 Scraggy, and for part of the story you are required to catch a Klefki, and then I found 2 Skrelp. Later on, I ended up finding an Alpha Pidgeot, and even though I already caught enough for the line, I wanted to catch the Pidgeot, so I didn't have to evolve a Pidgeotto. I then made my way to Wild Zone 15 and started catching Pumpkaboo, and I caught the Alpha Gourgeist. Now, if you know anything about Pumpkaboo, you know there's 4 sizes for each of them, both Pumpkaboo and Gourgeist. I was pretty much just catching a bunch and hoping to get the other sizes. With the Alpha Gourgeist, I think it is preset to always be the medium size. I'm not 100% sure, but every single one I found was medium size, so I only caught the 1 Gourgeist, and I ended up actually just putting it on the team. But for the rest of the Pumpkaboos, I pretty much just kept going in and out and catching them, trying to find new ones. I'm not going to show all of them because it's pretty repetitive, but we do end up getting all of them later on. I then ended up finding a Scolipede, a Panpour in a tree, and a Pansage in a tree as well, completing the Pansage line. I then found an Alpha Banette, but decided to just catch the Shuppet next to it because it was high enough level to be evolved into Banette anyway. I then evolved one of our Pansages into Simisage. Next, because I realized there were nighttime exclusive spawns, I went back to Wild Zone 2 and caught myself a Staryu. I found an alpha female Magikarp, and then I decided to catch another male Magikarp just to complete the gender set of the evolution line because I figured we wouldn't have to level them up too much to evolve them into Gyarados. I then ended up catching the Alpha Staryu and evolved it into a Starmie. Back to Wild Zone 4, I found myself a Honedge, which is also a nighttime exclusive in that zone. And then I went back to Wild Zone 6 in order to catch the Alpha Houndoom. This one was female, which we've still only found female Houndours and Houndoom at this point. I then found a Pansear in a tree and a Panpour running around in the open. I then decided to catch another Alpha Fletchinder to complete that line, and I found another male Roselia in order to get Roserade. Next, the Alpha Houndoom was male this time, so we caught that to complete the Houndour set. And then we found a male and female Metatite in the Battle Court. I then found a Wild Audino, which this one you have to be kind of careful with because they will run away and despawn. And I found a female Roselia. Then in Wild Zone 8, I found a male and female Numel, a Sandile, a Drillbur, a male Alpha Camerupt, another Sandile, and a Krokorok to complete the Sandile line. I then ended up finding a female and male Gimbal for the gender set. Then in Wild Zone 9, I ended up finding a female Kadabra. I then found a Carbink on the roof and found two more female Kadabras, which female Kadabra is actually the rarer one, so I'm kind of shocked I haven't found a male one yet, but we'll find some later. I then finally found a female Esper to complete the set of Meowstic. Then in Wild Zone 10, I found two Slowpokes, decided to catch another Bellsprout, and I found a Carvana. After the Carvana, I found the final Bellsprout we needed for the line. Then I caught the Alpha Sharpedo. On the rooftop, I found a bunch of Watchog, including an Alpha one, but I just caught the easier to catch one because we're not really going for Alphas. I then found an Arbok, even though I caught two Ekans. I figured I'd just catch the Arbok so I didn't have to evolve. And then I ended up finding two Tynamo. In Wild Zone 11, we found a Stunfisk, a Clauncher, an Alpha Clawitzer, and we found our first of 10 Furfrou. We need 10 of these for each of the coats. I then found an Alpha Slowbro, which completes the Slowpoke line for us. Then I found Furfrou number 2 and Furfrou number 3. Then I found a female Gyarados, and even though I already caught the female Magikarp that was an Alpha, I figured it'd just be easier to catch the female Gyarados. Next, I caught a Bergmite back in Wild Zone 12. Then I went back to the Battle Court and caught a Machoke to complete that line. Then in Wild Zone 13, I caught a female Heracross. I didn't catch any of the other Heracross or Pinsir because they all broke out and I failed all of them. I then decided to evolve Bellsprout into Weepinbell and then a Weepinbell into Victreebel. And this is why I said we're jumping all over the place with this video. I was playing through the story of Legend ZA on my own time without recording it, but whenever we were required to catch a Pokemon that I needed, I would stop and record it for the challenge. For example, the only way to get Wild Gengar in this game is part of a story mission where you're helping the Rust Syndicate. So we caught ourselves a Wild Gengar so we didn't have to do a trait evolution for it. I then evolved our Flaffy into Ampharos because we got enough levels to evolve it, and our male Magikarp into male Gyarados. Along with that, I evolved our male Esper and female Esper into both forms of Meowstic, one of our Ghastlies into Haunter, our Pansear into Simisear, and our Panpour into Simipour, completing all of the elemental monkeys. At this point, I remember that there was a mystery gift going on where you can get yourself a free Ralt with the Gardevoirite. I wasn't originally going to do this until I realized that if you don't grab this gift, you just have to buy the Gardevoirite, and I didn't want to do that. So we got ourselves the Ralts along with it, and it is our OT, so we are counting it. And then I accidentally started one of the side quests from Mabel to pick one of the Kanto starters, and I went with Charmander. Alright, I'm at the point of the game where I think there's 230. I'm assuming Zygarde is the last in the dex, which would also imply there's no Mythicals in this game, but there also could just be more after Zygarde that I don't know of yet. So we're at a point where we just catch and evolve as much as we can and try to find everything. So I still don't know how Vivillon works. It looks like you only get Meadow Pattern in this one. I don't know how to get the other ones. At this point, I had access to Wild Zone 20, and we could catch a lot of new Pokemon, including this Dragalge that I did catch 2 Scrubs for, but again, we don't want to evolve if we don't have to. A female Roserade, a Chikorita, a Garbodor, a Malamar, an Alpha Clefable, a Bulbasaur, an Alpha Absol, a Totodile, a female Chikorita, which is pretty lucky I got female Chikorita so quickly as it's a 1 in 8 chance and Meganium does have a gender difference, a Scrafty, an Aggron, a Lucario, and then we were able to do some more evolutions from the experience. We evolved our Binacle into Barbaracle, and our male and female Litleo into male and female Pyroar, an Electrike into Manectric, and a Swablu into Altaria. Then on the rooftops, I ended up finding my first Swirlix finally, and this was on our way to complete the mission to catch Yveltal. So we had to battle Yveltal, and honestly, it was actually pretty easy to catch. And once the cutscene for Yveltal ended, a Ralts spawned right on top of us, so we caught ourselves a second Ralts. Then as part of the Xerneas questline, you have to catch or KO a couple of unique alphas. They're unique alphas because they don't normally appear in the areas you find them, and in this case, we got ourselves a male Steelix, which is great so we don't have to trade evolution an Onix, a Gallade. On our way to the third alpha, we found a male Kadabra, and then this happened. Is that... Well, I found a shiny Carbink. I guess I'll save in case I, like, kill it. Nice. This is the first shiny I've found in this game. Oh, and that's totally the alpha I'm going... Why are you running off the cliff? Alright, let's see. It's blue. Oh, wait, the heavy ball actually looks nuts. I don't know if you can get more of these. But we're going to catch it. Maybe I should actually KO this. I did save, so. Well, I got my first shiny. I don't think I needed Carbink though, so we're not adding it to the counter, but that is a shiny I needed. And it is full odds because I don't have Shiny Charm. You have to get pretty close for those things to sparkle, it seems. Because it was like a little bit farther than that Carbink and it didn't sparkle. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Impish Nature. Modest. So yeah, I'm still not sure how I feel about the shinies in this game. It does seem like they're definitely trying to make them not as ridiculously common as they were in Scarlet and Violet, which I do really appreciate it. My biggest issue is the fact that they just kind of don't go away if they spawn in. Like on one hand, it's like a fail safe, like a fail prevention thing, which is cool. On the other hand, it's like if I'm literally just traveling between points in this game, inevitably a shiny will just get rolled. And like I've seen people just like do like resets by like traveling to different locations or like going up and down the stairs in like area 3, and then or just like sitting on a bench and passing the time, and then we'll have like 3 shinies in one spot because the shinies will get rolled and they won't check them, but then they'll stay there pretty much indefinitely. So I think that's a little weird, but it does seem like at the start shinies are rarer than before. But here is my shiny Carbink. I do like that they sparkle when they send on battle. That was something I thought was pretty lame that Scarlet and Violet didn't do, so that's cool. Carbinks. Like Jar Jar Binks, but it's Carbink. But yeah, that's my friend's nickname idea. I didn't come up with that, but it is so perfect for Carbink because it's almost the same name. It's so funny. After finding my first ever shiny of Legend ZA, I then caught the Alpha Pangoro for the Xerneas quest, a Mawile, Furfrou number 4, and Furfrou number 5, and Furfrou number 6. We then found Xerneas in Wild Zone 11. It's 11, right? Is that the Wild Zone? I guess I'll have to check. These zones, man, they get hard to remember. Wild Zone 11, I was correct. All right, cool. Wild Zone 11, we found Xerneas and managed to battle and catch Xerneas also pretty easily. At this point, I was tasked to battle Zygarde, and Zygarde is very similar to that of battling Volo in Legends Arceus, where you defeat him and then he gets Giratina, and then you defeat Giratina and then he gets Giratina Origin Form. And it's like that. You defeat Zygarde 10% the first time and it turns into the 50%, and then after you defeat the 50%, it turns into the complete form. And if I'm being honest, I got all the way to the complete form and then failed, and then I had to start from the beginning. So I decided not to record the battle sequence a second time. As I was preparing to battle Zygarde again, I ended up finding the last Ralts we needed for the line, and a Squirtle, a female Bulbasaur, which is also lucky, just like the Chikorita. Venusaur has a gender difference and is rarer than the male. A male Roserade to complete the set, I think. I'm getting very confused on the amount of like Roselias and Roserades we've been catching. And then I was ready to fight Zygarde again. But yeah, I didn't record it. I wanted to just beat it on my own time, and then once I beat it, then catch it. Which is what we did here, because yeah, I didn't want to record another like 15 minutes of footage of me battling it just to lose again. But we did end up beating it, and you are able to catch Zygarde in any Pokeball you want. I just used a regular Pokeball. Then back to Wild Zone 13, I caught a Pinsir and a male Heracross to complete the gender set. Then at night, I found a Phantom and an Alpha Trevenant, which is nice because that's normally a trait evolution. Then we got a male Scyther and a female Scyther for that gender set, but we do need 2 more for both genders of Scizor. So we caught another male Scyther. Then after a few more attempts, I finally found a female Scyther to complete the genders for Scizor. There's no Kleavor in this game, so we don't catch a 5th one. I then evolved the Alpha Bunnelby I got earlier into a Diggersby and a Baneri into Lopunny. As I've been going around, I've been getting experience for the Pokemon we need to evolve, so we can evolve them gradually as we go. I then made my way to Wild Zone 14 for the first time and caught a Lairon, an Excadrill, an Emolga, an Aeron, 2 Helioptiles to complete that line, a male Onix. Then after a bunch of attempts, I finally found a female Onix for the gender for Steelix. I then made my way to Wild Zone 19, and we caught ourselves a Kangaskhan, Furfrou number 7, I think? I'm losing count. Furfrou number 8, Furfrou number 9. Then I found a Cleffa and an Alpha Clefairy, but I just caught the regular Clefairy because it was easier. And then Furfrou number 10 to complete all the trims. I think this is 10, right? After catching all the Furfrous, there is a side quest that you have to do in order to change their trims, where this woman has a Scyther and she wants to open her own Furfrou salon shop. She essentially asks you to use a specific move on a substitute doll in order to teach the Scyther how to cut Furfrou's hair in a certain way, which if I'm being honest, I don't think I would trust a Scyther to cut any hair on anything. But after completing all of the steps for the quest, we're able to unlock all the Furfrou trims, so we start getting the Heart trim, the Star trim, the Diamond trim, the Debutante trim, I think that's how you pronounce it, the Matron trim, the Dandy trim, which is my personal favorite, the Lorraine trim, the Kabuki trim, and the Pharaoh trim, with keeping one of them as a natural form in order to have all of the forms. We then evolved a Spinarak into Ariados, a Tynamo into E-Electric, a Snorunt into Glalie, 2 of our Ralts into Kirlia, and then one of the Kirlia into Gardevoir, one of our Sandiles into Krokorok, and our other Krokorok into Krookodile, and our Noibat into Noivern. We then made our way to Wild Zone 16 and caught ourselves a Phalanx, a White Florges, which is, I think this is rare. I have only seen Florges in this spot once, and it happened to be a white one. I don't know the rarity of it. The icon on the map shows red Florges, so I'm guessing it can just be any of the flowers, but yeah, this is the only Florges I've ever seen in this game wild outside of the potential alpha one you can get in Area 20. I then ended up finding a female Medicham. Then at night on a food stand, I found our second Swirlix. Going back to Wild Zone 19, I found a male Medicham to complete that gender set and that line. And then there was the Froakie saga. There's a Froakie up there. I didn't even notice. Has that always been there, or is this the first time? What? Did it just go away? How did it even notice me? Wait, how did it even, it wasn't even looking at me. I mean, I'm not, oh, I am seeing Froakie. All right, we're doing it this way because this is just gonna be obnoxious. So I guess the goal is to just wait for him to turn. No way, bro. No way. That's ridiculous. Backstrike, quick ball. Backstrike, quick ball. 3 triangles, and it still breaks out. I might just save, because I have to KO this stupid Barbarical every time. And apparently that noticed me. Alright, we saved here. We wait till he turns. He doesn't see us because we're in a bush. He turns back. Thank you. I don't know why that didn't freaking work the first time. I need 2 more of those. Sweet. I guess we'll just go get 2 more of these things. I then used the same strategy to catch 2 more Froakies, although I will admit, this was before I realized that Pokemon respawn after like 3 to 5 minutes after you KO them or catch them, so it's a little bit of trial and error for this for me. Then in Wild Zone 15 on the roofs, I found myself a Larvitar. After waiting a bunch, I found a second one for Pupitar, and then a third one for Tyranitar. Then in the sewer, I found a Goomy, which I really hope I remember the spot so I can catch another one pretty easily. I then found another yellow Flabebe, and my first Spritzy. After the Spritzy, I found a Riolu to complete the Lucario line, and then found a second Spritzy to complete that line. I then found another yellow Flabebe to complete the yellow Flabebe line, and I found my first Hawlucha. Then I found a blue Flabebe, which I think is the first of the blue ones. Man, there's a lot of Pokemon with just a bunch of forms, and it is very hard to keep track of what I have. At this point, I realized that I could get the fossil Pokemon. So I ended up buying 2 Jaw fossils, 2 Sail fossils, and an old Amber. Then you have to do a quick quest in the laboratory where you restore either a Sail or Jaw fossil. You cannot use the old Amber. I tried. The guy really wants you to restore one of the other fossils. But once you do that, you're able to just continuously restore fossils, assuming you have them at your disposal. So after that first Tyrunt, we restored a second one. Then we restored the 2 Amoras, and then an Aerodactyl. At this point, I wanted to try to catch some of the Eevee, and Eevee was quite the ordeal. Eevee appears in Wild Zone 19, and it's pretty rare. There's a few spots where it can spawn, but it takes kind of a while to find any of them at those points. There's other areas in the city where Eevee can spawn, and I didn't really know where they were at the time, but eventually I do find another spot. But yeah, we do a lot of runs in Wild Zone 19. To start, we catch ourselves a Drampa, and then we found the first of the 10 Eevee we need. We need 10 Eevee because we need one for Eevee. We need a female one because Eevee has a gender difference, and then we also need the 8 Eeveelutions. Shortly after, we found our second Eevee, and it was looking pretty good. But then it took me like 20 minutes after that to find the third Eevee, and at that point, I looked up a different spot where I could find Eevee, and I found a spot in this little area in Vert Sector 9, and after sitting on a bench and passing the time, an Eevee spawned, which was looking pretty good. Again, this was before I realized that you have to wait like 3 to 5 minutes in order to get a new spawn for the Pokemon you've caught or KO'd. So we do a lot of resetting, essentially for nothing here, and it takes us way longer to find all the Eevees. But while we were resetting trying to get more Eevees, we did find something pretty good that helped us a lot. Oh, it's raining. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Let me save here. Rain seems pretty rare in this game, so I'm gonna try to... secure this Alpha Goomy. That's not good. We're gonna try that again. Oh, we got it. Okay, cool. And because it was raining, I wanted to take this opportunity to evolve that Alpha Goomy into a Goodra, as I don't see rainy weather that often in this game. I then ended up finding a female Eevee, which is nice. Just like the Bulbasaur and the Chikorita, female Eevee is a lot more rare than the male ones, so it was nice getting it early on. Then I found Eevee number 6, And back to Wild Zone 19, I found Eevee number 7. Back to the little bench area, found Eevee number 8. And I do alternate back and forth between these areas because I was really desperate and this actually took me hours to complete. Then back to Wild Zone 19, after accidentally catching a Furfrou, we caught Eevee number 9. And then something pretty cool happened. I just heard a shiny. Oh my gosh, a shiny Kangaskhan. I'm getting chased by a shiny Kangaskhan. Dude, I knew I was gonna get a shiny before that. That's already like my 3rd shiny, 4th technically if you include the guaranteed Mareep. Well, I guess I don't have to figure out how to hunt shiny Kangaskhan now. Wait. Oh, there we go. Oh, it didn't sparkle, but it made the noise last time. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We're taking a lot of pictures of this one. Oh, I don't want you doing that. Wait. That's pretty cool. Am I dying? Oh, dude, the crouch is crazy. Oh my goodness. Okay, okay. Yeah, I think it's safe to assume shinies are pretty easy in this game, considering I've found 3 of them already. One of them I didn't get live, so we're not counting it towards anything. Premier Ball. Well, thankfully it doesn't autosave when you KO a Pokemon. So we should be fine. That is one for my Kanto Shiny Living Dex. Shiny Kangaskhan was something I didn't know how I was gonna hunt it, honestly. Oh, we can see. Oh, I wonder if I can get the sparkles in the camera. Hold on. Let's do that. I missed it. Wait, hold up. Wait, did I just hear an Eevee? Oh my gosh, there's my final Eevees right here too. Alright, we caught our final Eevee. Now we can go get the Kangaskhan. We're just gonna keep, like, one-shotting this thing until it gets caught in a Premier Ball. Alright, that actually wasn't too bad. Yeah, so I did get a Fletchling last night, and then there's a guaranteed Mareep. I only count live shinies, so we're only counting the Kangaskhan and the Carbink so far. I'm gonna guess it's gonna be Impish. I actually don't know what that nature was. Rash nature. That seems pretty bad for it. Pretty cool. I was actually kind of hoping for a Kangaskhan because, honestly, I've been doing research over and over again on how I can shiny hunt Kangaskhan at the full odds rate. And before this game came out, the only, like, somewhat decent method was soft resets in the Isle of Armor in Sword and Shield. So this was a better option because there's a lot more Kangaskhan's. And we got our final Eevee, so we don't have to be here anymore. So that's pretty cool. It's a really cool. It looks great in this game. Like, it's so pale in this game. Like, I feel like normally you look at Kangaskhan and you think, oh, it doesn't look that much different. Like, it's actually insane how different it looks in this game. Maybe it's always been like that and I'm just stupid. I know it's always been, like, this similar color scheme with the green head and the grayish body, but it seemed way more noticeable here than before. And I'm so glad I got that Eevee. Those Eevees took freaking forever. But, alright, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I gotta add one to my Kanto Shiny Living Dex now, which is pretty sweet. That was one I didn't know how I was gonna hunt. So that's pretty cool. I then found another blue Flabébé, and then I hit the mother load, finding a third blue Flabébé to complete that line, and 2 white Flabébés right past it to complete the white Flabébé line. I then found my first Dedenne, which honestly, it's kind of crazy it took me this long to find Dedenne. And then I found another orange Flabébé. After that, since I'm not counting the Pokemon in my party, I had to catch 3 Dratini, so this was Dratini number 1, which happened to be an Alpha one. I then found another orange Flabébé, which I think completes the line. Again, it's getting hard to keep track of all these Pokemon with different forms. I then made my way to Blue District in order to get a second Dratini. Then in Wild Zone 17, I found a Skarmory, and at night, on top of the roof, I found 2 Lampents. And in the holes, I ended up finding Chespin, which I was a little scarred by Froakie. I needed to catch 3 of these, but luckily they do not run away. And the final Chespin we found happened to be an Alpha one. I then made my way back to Blue District in order to get a Dragonair, which was an Alpha Dragonair, which was pretty cool. Then I went to Wild Zone 18 the first time and caught the Alpha Salamence in actually 1 ball only, which was shocking. And then I caught 2 more Bagons to complete that line. Then in Wild Zone 16, if you go around the back and climb up to the top of the buildings, you can find a Fennekin, which this one, just like the Froakie, can run away, but it at least gives you a really solid spot to hide behind, so it's a lot easier. Because we have to wait for Fennekin to respawn, I decided to go to Area 20 and find more Pokemon we need. I first found a male Hippowdon, then a Chikorita, then an Alpha Raichu, which we need for a very specific reason later on, then a Bulbasaur, then another Chikorita, then another Totodile, then we got a male Alpha Garchomp, a female Hippowdon to complete that gender set and the line, another male Bulbasaur, a Squirtle, a second Charmander, an Alpha Frostlass, which completes the Snorunt line for us, our third and final Charmander, an Alpha Aegislash, another Squirtle to complete that line. And for some reason, Tepig took a very long time to find, but I found the Tepig, followed by another one shortly after. An Alpha Vanillux, which was extremely difficult to take down for me until it decided to do this. But we gotta hit something big on this. Oh. Wait. That works. Nice. And a third and final Tepig, which ended up being an Alpha. And yes, I definitely forgot about Fennekin. I then made my way to the sewers in order to catch a Litwick to complete that line, and I wanted to find myself a Goomy, but Goomy was being pretty difficult for me to find, so at that point, I finally remembered that I should go catch Fennekin again in order to get a breaks in, because we're going to be in the sewers for a minute looking for Goomy, so I figured I'd have enough time to respawn a third Fennekin at that point. So we made our way back into the sewers, and I got something pretty crazy while looking for Goomy endlessly. I don't get this, man. Why can't I find the freaking Goomy? What? I just heard a shiny. But none of these are shiny. They had to have been in a different room, right? Dude, the shinies might be too easy in this game. I've already found like 4 of them. Is it a Noibat? Well, let's get rid of you first before you're annoying. Oh, yeah, it is a Noibat. You see it? Well, shiny Noibat. Dude, I'm getting all Gen 6 Pokemon except for, I guess, the Kangaskhan. So that was a lie. Did not mean to take that screenshot. Did I get it while it was up there? Oh, I did. Nice. Too bad I couldn't zoom in farther. This is a really cool shiny, though. I mean, we're counting this. We're full odds. Dude, it's crazy because it actually just doesn't feel like the shinies are full odds in this game. Oh, wait. Netball would go crazy. Nice. They don't feel full odds in this game, but I think it just is all because of the fact that they don't despawn, so that once they're generated, they just kind of stay there forever until you run into them. And obviously I'm doing runs back and forth, but I'm not even checking down here. So it's just the fact that one ended up getting rolled down here, and then I heard the sparkles. But yeah, we're flying through these shinies, it seems, but I mean, it's Gen 6, like they were always 1 in 4096 anyway, so the difference is just how I'm encountering them, and it's just the fact that they don't despawn. I definitely wouldn't be finding this many shinies if they despawned. That's another one for the list. Oh, I guess I'll do a nature guess. I still haven't even nicknamed my Kangaskhan. Oh, I'm gonna guess Jolly Nature, I guess, because that's actually what it is. See, yeah, saw that. It's a large classification. Add that to the shiny box. I gotta think of nicknames for like all these except for the Mareep and probably the Fletchling, because that one was not live, but like these two definitely want to get nicknames from them. Wow, we're actually getting cool shinies too. The Carbink is probably the worst one I've found live, and like it's still pretty cool. Like, kind of cool set of shinies, I'm not gonna lie. We'll figure out nicknames at some point. I'm still just trying to catch all the Pokemon, you know. Wait, there's another one over here. What if it's just this room? Oh my gosh, I was just in the wrong rooms the whole time, bro. Oh my gosh. Either that or I just got stupid lucky with this one. Well, we got a shiny Noibat. Because I'm an idiot. Oh my gosh. I didn't even notice this room was here. I was looking at the map. I was like, oh, there's one here. Oh, there's one here and there's one here. Cool. I didn't even notice that was there. And surprise, surprise, it's the room I already broke the ice for that I caught Goomy in the last time. Yay. Wow. Awesome. I then went back to Wild Zone 4 to catch a Honedge to complete that line. Then I found another male Kadabra to complete that set. I found 2 female Gibbles, 1 for Gabite and 1 for Garchomp, and then a male Gibble for Gabite to complete that set. I then was a little lazy and didn't want to re-roll the Alpha Camerupt over and over again, so I just found myself a female Numel. I then remembered that Fennekin respawned, so I caught my 3rd and final Fennekin. Then I went back to Wild Zone 10 to catch a final Tynamo for the line. I then went to Wild Zone 12 in order to catch female Snover, the Alpha Avalugg, and a female Alpha Abomasnow. At this point, there's only a few more Pokemon left to catch, and I realized I hadn't gotten Beldum yet. And I learned that Beldum was actually in Lysander Labs. And yes, Beldum has the catch rate of a legendary Pokemon, so we're gonna be at this for a while. After a ton of attempts and using a timer ball after I don't know how many moves this thing used, I finally was able to catch our first of 3 Beldum we needed. Luckily, after running back and forth for a little bit, we caught a second Beldum using a backstrike with a quick ball, and we evolved one of them into a Metang. As you saw earlier, there was a Metang there, and we ended up catching that one, which surprisingly took way less time to catch than the Beldums did. I then made my way back to Wild Zone 15 to try to catch the rest of the Pumpkaboos, and then I made quite the discovery. Oh, wait, what's this? So let's see what she has to say. Punkpo used to be sorted based on their size, small, average, large, or super size. However, it's going to relate that differences between them go just beyond the size. How they're called small, medium, large, and jumbo. I think the new names sound more different breeds than anything else. For the record, I don't think I'll ever call them that. I think I'm gonna call them average, small, large, and super. Oh, oh. Okay, so they did just only change the size. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir. Okay, so I have to... So they only show up at night. Interesting. That's why I haven't found one yet. I think this is it. Oh, it is.
Alright, totally a supersized one. Alright, there's another supersize.
After catching all the Pokemon that I assumed we needed, we evolved 3 Chikorritas into Bayleaf, and then a male and female Bayleaf into both male and female Meganium, 2 Tepigs into Pignite, and a Pignite into Emboar, 2 Totodiles into Croconaw, and a Croconaw into Feraligatr, an Eevee into Vaporeon, Jolteon, Flareon, Leafeon, and Glaceon, 1 of our Dratinis into Dragonair, 3 of our Bulbasaurs into Ivysaur, and then 1 male and female Ivysaur into male and female Venusaur. Then we evolved Charmanders into Charmeleon and Charizard. We evolved 2 Squirtles into Wartortle, and then 1 into Blastoise. We evolved 1 of our Lampents into Chandelure, 1 of our Helioptiles into Heliolisk, 2 of our Larvitars into Pupitar, 2 of our Froakies into Frogadier, 2 of our Chespins into Quilladin, and 2 of our Fennekins into Braixen. Then we evolved 1 of our Bagons into Shelgon, and 1 of our Metangs into Metagross. Then going back to the Alpha Raichu I caught, there's a side quest where you have to defeat a trainer who has an Alolan Raichu with your own Raichu, so I caught the Alpha because it'd be stronger, and then we traded it to get Alolan Raichu. We then evolved some of our Flabébés into all of the colors of Floette, or so I thought.
Is this an orange Flabébé? So it turns out this is orange. These sprites look crazy. That's red and that's orange. The red is a little pinker. I guess I need to catch another red Floette or Flabébé. Jeez. Wow. Well, I was doing that while evolving. Okay, I'll finish evolving the Flabébés and then we'll get another Floette that's like actually red.
We finished evolving some of our Floettes into the other colors of Florges that we needed. Remember, we caught the white Florges wild, so we do not need that one. I then went back and caught another red Flabébé in order to evolve it into red Floette and actually complete all of the Floettes. Maybe. We then evolved 1 of our Honedge into Doublade, and then using the power of friendship, we evolved Eevee into Espeon, Umbreon, and Sylveon to complete all of the Eevees. We then evolved our female Numel into female Camerupt. We then evolved our male and female Gibbles into Gabite, which you cannot tell the difference from this angle. And then 1 of our female Gabites into Garchomp. Then we evolved 1 of our Tynamos into Electric, and then 1 of our Electrics into Electros. Our Alpha Dragonair into Dragonite. 1 of our Goomies into Sliggoo, and 1 of our Amoras into Aurorus, and our Tyrant into Tyrantrum. We then evolved 1 of our Pupitars into Tyranitar, 1 of our Frogadiers into Greninja, 1 of our Quilladins into Chestnut, and 1 of our Braixens into Delphox.
Yeah, I think you only get 1 Galarian Slowpoke per save file. So, if I want all 3 of them, I need multiple save files. I don't know if I want to do that. Maybe there are more Galarian Slowpoke trainers that you can trade in this game, but that's kind of what we're figuring out. Spicy.
During another side quest, you're tasked to find a Galarian Stunfisk in Wild Zone 11, and after you find it, you're able to keep it as one of your own. At this point, I found someone who was willing to help me trade for all of the trait evolutions. Unfortunately, because I don't own this game twice, I can't show the evolutions, but we can at least show the Pokemon we evolved for traded back to us. We got male and female Alakazam, Aromatisse, Slurpuff, Machamp, Slowking, male and female Scizor, female Steelix, and the different sizes of Gourgeist. So we got the medium, the small, the large, and the jumbo, which still sounds weird to say that. Also, huge shout out to Tos, who helped trade for these. I'll leave a link to their Twitch in the description.
All right, let's see. 230. Seen and caught. Mega Evolution. But wait, there's something missing between Starmie and Pyroar. Huh. What is between Starmie and Pyroar that has a Mega Evolution? Huh. Alright. This is my theory. And if I'm wrong, don't tell me what it is. I think this is a seek out all Pokemon scenario. Oh my gosh, you are back. Wait, you weren't here before. How do I talk to you? I'm going to my room. Nothing in the room. Okay. Okay, maybe there's something else I have to do. But hold on, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Okay, I might be stumped here. Hold on, don't tell me. Oh, maybe I talk to Mabel. Maybe, let's talk to Mabel first. Well, let's talk to everyone here first. Don't tell me. I'm gonna talk to Mabel. I'm gonna talk to Mabel. Don't tell me what I gotta do. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna figure this out, guys. I really thought for sure it was gonna be just like you catch all the Pokemon and then that's it. Okay. So Mabel doesn't do anything. Oh, you know what? Here. No, I'm gonna do something else. Let's go to the lobby. Don't tell me, guys. Don't tell me. And then let's rest until morning. I don't think I've ever actually done this. Okay. Okay. There's a Pumpkaboo painting. I got good taste. Have you been just staring at that painting? Window? Painting? Wall? All night long? Guys, I might need help. What do I have to do for this? I don't know what I have to do. I filled out the whole Pokedex. Oh, you have to do 20 wins in a row in the Infinite Royale. Oh, really? Really? Well, I guess I gotta do that.
Realizing I needed to do more battles in the Infinite Royale, I decided to complete some of the extra side quests, and this one, you are able to get a Spupa, which when evolved, evolves into the marine pattern of Vivillon, which is the only other Vivillon you can get in this game as of now. After battling the Infinite Royale 14 times, your 15th battle is with either Tawny or Urbane, depending on who you picked as your character, and normally Tawny's ace is the Emboar that Mega evolves, but this time she has a different Mega. After absolutely demolishing AZ's Floette, you get a lore dump for Tawny, and then she ends up giving you Floette, which is the first time in the entire series we're able to get Eternal Flower Floette. It's only been, what, 12 years since this thing's been in a Pokemon game, and this is the first time we can actually get it, which I will point out, this also pairs with my full home living decks that I have been doing. I am going to count this Floette for Pokemon Home once home compatibility comes out. I'm not going to make a full video on Legend ZA because Eternal Floette's the only new Pokemon you can get in Legend ZA as of now, so I figured there's not really a point of making a whole video on that, so we're throwing that in here. You best believe it, we're adding AZ's Floette into our Pokemon Home collection, baby. Let's go. But here is the Eternal Flower Floette. The OT is AZ, and the ID number is 000001. Do you think he reset for that ID number? And at that point, we have caught every single Pokemon in Legend ZA, complete with gender differences, alternate form changes, and even the few regional variants that you can get outside of the Galarian Slowbro and Galarian Slowking. At some point, I will make other save files and then be able to give myself those, but I gotta at least wait for home compatibility or trade other people, and there's no way I was doing that in this video. Like, I wasn't doing that for this video. This already took way too long to do, and yeah, like, who cares? They're not even ROT. It's spicy. It's gonna be spicy 3 times over. This stupid Galarian Slowpoke that you only get one of. But yeah, those are the only ones we're missing. Everything else we have gotten. All of the Furfrous, all of the Floettes, all of the Pumpkaboos and Gorguys. We got everything you can catch in this game. So that was quite the journey. Let me know what you guys think. And yeah, that is my entire collection in Pokemon Legends ZA as of now. The only thing left there is to do is to catch every single Pokemon as an alpha in this game. So stay tuned for that.